The stars looked different this far from Earth. Lieutenant Commander Jake Morrison stared out the window of the USS Horizon, watching distant suns blur past as the ship traveled through deep space. His crew had been exploring this region for 3 months now, mapping new systems and looking for signs of life. "Sir, we're picking up something strange," said Amy Chun from the pilot's seat. Her fingers moved quickly across the controls. "There's a ship ahead. A big one." Jake walked over to look at her screen. The shape that appeared there made his stomach drop. It was massive, at least 10 times larger than the horizon. The design was like nothing he had ever seen before. Smooth curves and sharp edges combined in ways that seemed impossible. "Is it sending any signals?" Jake asked. "Nothing we can understand," Amy replied. "But it's changing course. Moving toward us." Jake's mind raced. Humanity had been searching for alien life for centuries. They had found ruins on dead worlds and strange microbes in asteroid ice, but never a living civilization. "Never a ship like this? Try to make contact," Jake ordered. "Send them our greeting message in all frequencies." They waited. The alien ship grew closer. Then the horizon systems started failing one by one. Lights flickered. The engine died. Jake grabbed onto his chair as artificial gravity weakened. "They're pulling us in," Amy said, fear creeping into her voice. "I can't break free?" Jake looked at his small crew of 5 people. They were scientists and explorers, not soldiers. But he had to keep them safe. "Everyone stay calm. Maybe they just want to talk." The alien ship swallowed the horizon like a whale eating a small fish. Darkness surrounded them. Then lights blazed on, so bright Jake had to shield his eyes. When he could see again, alien figures stood outside the horizon's windows. They were tall and elegant, with smooth blue skin that seemed to glow slightly. Their eyes were large and silver, showing no emotion that Jake could recognize. A voice spoke inside Jake's head. It wasn't English, but somehow he understood it. "You will come out. You will not resist." Jake knew they had no choice. He gathered his crew near the airlock. "Whatever happens, we stick together. We're ambassadors for Earth now, whether we meant to be or not." The airlock opened. Alien soldiers surrounded them immediately. They wore armor that looked like liquid metal and carried weapons that hummed with energy. The soldiers led Jake and his crew through corridors that seemed to shift and change. The walls glowed with symbols Jake couldn't read. They entered a massive chamber. At the far end sat a throne made of some crystal material that pulsed with inner light. And on that throne sat her dot. She was clearly the leader. Her skin was a deeper blue than the soldiers', almost purple in the strange light. She wore robes that floated around her as if underwater. A crown of silver metal curved around her head with gems that looked like captured stars. But it was her eyes that caught Jake's attention. They were silver like the others, but there was something more in them. Intelligence, curiosity, and maybe loneliness. "I am Queen Liara," the voice said in Jake's mind. "You are humans from the planet called Earth." It wasn't a question. She already knew. Jake stepped forward, ignoring the weapons pointed at him. "I'm Lieutenant Commander Jake Morrison. We come in peace. We mean no harm to you or your people." Liara stood and walked down from her throne. She moved like water flowing, graceful and controlled. When she stopped in front of Jake, he realized she was taller than him by several inches. She studied him the way a scientist might study an interesting specimen. "Peace," she said, and this time her mouth moved, forming the word with an accent that sounded like music. "Your kind does not know peace. I have seen your history. War, violence, destruction. You are children playing with fire. We've made mistakes," Jake admitted, "but we've learned from them. We're better now." Liara reached out her hand. Before Jake could react, she touched his forehead with one long finger. Pain exploded through his skull. Images flashed in his mind, memories he didn't want to share. His childhood. His family. His training. His fears. Everything lay bare, then something unexpected happened. The pain stopped. Jake felt something else, something flowing back from Liara into him. He saw flashes of her memories. A beautiful world with purple skies. A younger Liara laughing with people who looked like her. Then fire and screams, death, betrayal, a crown she never wanted placed on her head. Liara pulled her hand back quickly. Her silver eyes were wide with something that looked like shock. She stepped back and spoke rapidly in her own language to the soldiers around her. They seemed confused by her reaction. "Take the others to cells," Liara commanded. "But this Jake Morrison, bring him to the observation room. I want to study him more." "No," Jake said firmly. "My crew stays with me or I don't cooperate." Liara tilted her head, studying him. "You are in no position to make demands, human." "Maybe not," Jake replied. "But you're curious about us." "About me, I felt it when you touched me." "You want to understand humans." "I'll help you understand, but only if my crew is safe and treated well." For a long moment, Liara said nothing. The tension in the room grew thick. Then she made a gesture with her hand. "Very well. Your crew will have comfortable quarters. They will not be harmed unless they try to escape. But you, Jake Morrison, you will come with me. We have much to discuss." As soldiers led his crew away, Amy looked back at Jake with worried eyes. He nodded at her, trying to look confident, but inside his heart pounded. He had just made himself the focus of an alien queen's attention. He didn't know if that would save his crew or doom them all. Liara walked toward a side door, then paused and looked back at him. "Come, human. Let us see if your species is as interesting as that moment of contact suggested." Jake followed her, very aware that he was walking deeper into the unknown. The door closed behind them, sealing him in with a being he didn't understand. A queen who had touched his mind and seemed disturbed by what she found there. What had she seen in him? And what had he seen in her that made his heart ache with unexpected sympathy? He had only one way to find out. He would have to survive whatever tests she had planned and maybe, just maybe, find a way to turn an enemy into something else entirely. The game had begun. And Earth's future might depend on how well he played it. The observation room was smaller than Jake expected. The walls were transparent, showing the vast darkness of space beyond. Stars glittered like diamonds scattered on black silk. Liara stood with her back to him, her robe still moving as if touched by an invisible wind. "Sit," she commanded without turning around. Jake saw a chair that seemed to grow out of the floor itself. He sat carefully, watching Lyra's reflection in the transparent wall. She was watching him too, he realized. Studying him through the reflection. "You felt it, didn't you?" Liara asked. "When I touched your mind." "The connection." "Yes," Jake admitted. "There was no point in lying. I saw things. Your memories." Liara turned to face him. Her expression was hard to read, but her silver eyes seemed troubled. "That should not have happened. My people can share thoughts with each other, but never with other species. We are too different. Our minds should not be compatible." "Maybe we're not as different as you think," Jake suggested. Liara laughed, but there was no humor in the sound. "You know nothing of us, human. We are the Viridians. We have ruled this section of the galaxy for 5,000 of your years. We have conquered 100 worlds. We are superior in every way. If you're so superior, why are you talking to me?" Jake asked. "Why not just kill us and be done with it?" The question seemed to catch Liara off guard. She walked closer, moving around Jake like a predator circling prey. "Your people are growing too fast, too strong. 50 years ago, you could barely leave your own planet. Now you explore deep space. In another 50 years, you might become a threat. So you want to destroy us before we get stronger," Jake said. "That's not superiority. That's fear." Lyra's hand moved fast. She grabbed Jake's chin, forcing him to look up at her. Her touch sent that strange sensation through him again, a connection that felt both foreign and familiar. "Watch your words, human. I could kill you with a thought." But Jake saw something in her eyes that made him brave. "Maybe you could, but you won't. Because you're curious. You want to know why we connected. You want to understand why a primitive human made you feel something you didn't expect." Liara released him and stepped back. For a moment, she looked less like a queen and more like a person carrying a burden too heavy to bear. "Tell me about Earth," she said quietly. "Tell me about your people." So Jake talked. He told her about blue skies and green oceans, about cities that reached toward the clouds and quiet farms in the countryside. He told her about humanity's history, not hiding the wars and mistakes, but also sharing the moments of beauty and triumph. He told her about art and music, about people who gave their lives to save strangers, about the dream of reaching the stars. Liara listened without interrupting. Sometimes her expression changed slightly, showing emotions Jake was beginning to recognize: interest, sadness, something that might have been longing. "Your people seem chaotic," Liara finally said. "Emotional, unpredictable." "We are," Jake agreed. "But that's not a weakness. It's what makes us strong. We feel things deeply. We care about each other. We don't give up even when everything seems hopeless." "My people used to be like that," Liara said softly. She moved to the transparent wall and placed her hand against it. "Long ago, before the Empire, we were artists and dreamers. But we were also weak. Other species attacked us, took our worlds, enslaved our children. We had to become hard to survive. We had to conquer or be conquered. And now?" Jake asked. "Now we are powerful, feared, alone." Lyra's voice carried a weight of centuries. "I became queen when I was young. My family was killed by rivals who wanted the throne. I took it because I had to, because someone needed to hold the empire together. Do you know what it's like, Jake Morrison, to wear a crown you never wanted?" Jake stood and walked toward her. The guards outside the room tensed, but Liara waved them back. "I can't imagine," Jake said honestly, "but I know what it's like to have responsibility you didn't ask for. To make choices that keep you awake at night." Liara looked at him, really looked at him, and for the first time, Jake felt like he was seeing the person beneath the queen. "Why did you save that child?" she asked. "During your last mission. I saw it in your memories. You risked your life for one child on a colony under attack." "Because it was the right thing to do," Jake said simply. "Even though you might have died? Even though that child was not your own?" "Especially because of that," Jake replied. "That's what makes us human. We protect the weak. We help those who can't help themselves. It's not about being related or even knowing someone. It's about being decent." Liara was quiet for a long time. Then she did something unexpected. She reached out and touched Jake's hand. Not his forehead this time, just his hand. The connection flowed between them again, but gentler now, less painful. Through it, Jake felt her confusion, her loneliness, and underneath it all, a spark of hope she had thought was dead. "Your crew is worried about you," Liara said, pulling her hand back. "They think I will hurt you. Will you?" Jake asked. "I don't know," Liara admitted. "My advisors want me to execute all of you. They say humans are dangerous, that we should eliminate your species before you become a threat. But when I touched your mind, Jake Morrison, I saw something my people have forgotten. I saw goodness. Real, honest goodness that exists just because it should." "So what happens now?" Jake asked. Liara turned away from him again. "Now you go back to a cell. I must think. I must decide what to do with you and your crew. And I must figure out why a human has confused me more in one day than all my advisors have in 10 years. Guards entered the room. Jake knew the conversation was over. But as they led him toward the door, Liara spoke once more. "Jake Morrison," she said, still not looking at him, "if I ask you questions tomorrow, will you answer them honestly? Even if the truth might harm your people?" Jake considered the question carefully. "I'll answer honestly," he said. "But I won't help you destroy Earth. If that's what you're planning, you'll have to do it without my help." Liara finally turned to look at him. Something that might have been respect flickered in her silver eyes. "Fair enough. Take him away." As Jake walked through the corridors back to the cells, his mind raced. Something had changed between him and Liara. The connection they shared was real and growing stronger. He had seen her pain and loneliness. She had seen his hope and determination. Neither of them understood what it meant, but Jake knew one thing for certain, that this alien queen was not the monster he had expected. She was a person trapped by duty and history, just trying to survive in a position she never wanted. And somehow, against all logic and reason, Jake felt drawn to help her. Not just to save his crew or Earth, but because he had seen who she really was beneath the crown. The question was whether that person was strong enough to change the fate of two species, or whether the weight of the Empire would crush them both. Jake was returned to his cell where his crew waited anxiously. Amy rushed to him immediately. "Are you okay? What happened? Did she hurt you?" Jake looked at his worried crew and realized he couldn't tell them the whole truth. Not yet, they wouldn't understand. He barely understood it himself. "I'm fine," he said. "And I think maybe, just maybe, we have a chance. The Queen is not what we thought. She's more complicated than that." "Complicated or not, she's keeping us prisoner," said Danny Ross, the engineer. "We need to find a way to escape." "No," Jake said firmly. "Not yet. Something is happening here. Something important. We need to see it through." His crew looked at him like he was crazy. Maybe he was? But Jake had felt that connection with Liara. He had seen inside her mind and heart. And he knew that if they ran now, they would lose the only chance they might ever have to prevent a war between their peoples. Tomorrow he would face Liara again. Tomorrow they would talk more, share more, and maybe understand more. And somewhere in all of that, Jake hoped to find a way to save everyone, even an alien queen who touched his mind and made him question everything he thought he knew about enemies and allies. Days passed on the alien ship. Jake lost count after the first week. Time felt strange here, with no sun to mark the hours. Every day, guards came to take him to Liara, every day. They talked. At first, Liara asked questions about Earth and humanity. She wanted to know everything. How humans governed themselves. How they solved conflicts. What they valued most. Jake answered honestly, even when the truth made humans look foolish or weak. But as the days went on, the conversations changed. They talked about philosophy and leadership, about the weight of responsibility and the cost of power. Liara shared stories about her empire, about the worlds she ruled and the people she protected. She talked about the enemies who watched for any sign of weakness, ready to tear her down. "I cannot show mercy," Liara said one day. They were in the observation room again, watching stars stream past. "If I do, they will see it as weakness. They will challenge me. More people will die." "But if you never show mercy," Jake replied, "you become the thing you're trying to protect your people from. You become the tyrant." Liara looked at him with those silver eyes that Jake had learned to read, frustration, sadness, and always that hint of loneliness. "You speak as if there are easy answers, Jake Morrison. But you have never ruled an empire. You have never held millions of lives in your hands." "No," Jake admitted. "But I've led people. My crew trusts me because I've shown them I care about them. Not just as soldiers or tools, but as people. Real leadership isn't about being feared. It's about being worth following." "That is a human idea," Liara said. "Maybe," Jake replied. "But is it wrong?" Liara didn't answer. She never answered when Jake's words hit too close to something she didn't want to face. On the 10th day, everything changed. Jake was in his cell with his crew when alarms suddenly blared throughout the ship. The walls shook. Lights flickered. Amy grabbed Jake's arm. "What's happening?" Before Jake could answer, the cell door opened. But it wasn't guards who entered. It was Liara herself, moving fast, her robes streaming behind her. Her face showed an emotion Jake had never seen there before. "Fear, come with me," she commanded. "All of you now. What's going on?" Jake asked, even as he and his crew followed her into the corridor. "Assassination attempt," Liara said shortly. "My cousin Vorton thinks he should be king. He has support from some military commanders. They have taken control of part of the ship." Explosions echoed through the corridors. Liara led them through a maze of passages, moving with the confidence of someone who knew every inch of her ship. Guards loyal to her joined them along the way. Forming a protective circle, they reached a large chamber filled with equipment Jake didn't recognize. Liara moved to a console and started working, her fingers dancing across glowing symbols. I can lock down this section. Buy us time? Time for what? Jake asked. To escape in the shuttle bays, Liara said. If Vorton wins, he will kill me and everyone loyal to me. Including you and your crew. Jake moved closer to her. Tell me how to help. Liara looked at him in surprise. Why would you help me? If I die, Vorton might let you go free. He might not care about humans at all. Or he might kill us anyway, Jake said. But that's not why I'm offering. I'm offering because it's the right thing to do. You need help. I can help. It's that simple. For a moment, Liara just stared at him. Then she reached out and touched his hand. That connection flowed between them again, stronger now after so many days of talking and sharing thoughts. Through it, Jake felt her gratitude and something deeper. Something warm that made his heart beat faster. There, Liara said, pointing to another console. That controls the door locks. I need you to seal the entrances while I prepare the defense systems. Jake ran to the console. It was alien technology, but Liara's touch had given him some understanding. His hands moved almost on their own, following instincts he didn't quite understand. Around him, his crew worked too. Amy helped a Viridian engineer with the power systems. Danny crawled into access panels to reroute connections. They worked together, human and alien fighting against a common enemy. It felt right in a way Jake couldn't explain. Then the doors exploded inward. Soldiers in different armor poured into the room. These must be Vorton's people. They raised weapons that hummed with deadly energy. Protect the Queen? One of Lyra's guards shouted. The room erupted into chaos. Energy blasts flew in all directions. Jake grabbed Amy and pulled her behind a console as the air above them sizzled with heat. Liara stood at the center of the storm, her hands glowing with some kind of power Jake had never seen before. She deflected attacks with waves of energy, protecting her people, but there were too many attackers. Lyra's guards fell one by one. Jake saw her falter, saw exhaustion on her face. The power she was using was draining her. Jake didn't think. He just acted. He ran toward Liara, putting himself between her and an attacker who had gotten too close. The soldier's weapon came up, aiming directly at Jake's chest. Time seemed to slow down. Jake saw the weapon charge. Saw the soldier's finger tighten on the trigger. Saw the energy blast coming right at him. Then Lyra's hand grabbed his shoulder, and everything changed. The connection between them exploded into something massive. Jake felt Lyra's power flow through him, and his own mind reached back. Their thoughts merged completely for one perfect moment. He felt what she felt, saw what she saw, understood what she understood, and together, they unleashed something neither could have done alone. A wave of pure force erupted from both of them, throwing the attackers back against the walls. The remaining enemy soldiers collapsed, unconscious or too stunned to fight. The room fell silent except for heavy breathing and the crackle of damaged equipment. Jake and Liara stood frozen, still connected. Their hands were clasped together, fingers intertwined. The glow that surrounded Liara now surrounded Jake too. He could feel her heart beating and she could feel his. Two completely different beings, somehow perfectly synchronized. Slowly, carefully, they released their grip. The glow faded. But the connection remained, deeper and stronger than ever before. What just happened? Amy asked, staring at them with wide eyes. Liara looked at Jake with wonder in her silver eyes. I don't know. This should be impossible. Our species should not be able to share power like this. One of Lyra's guards approached, bowing respectfully. My Queen Vorton has been captured. His coup has failed. You are safe. Liara nodded, but she never took her eyes off Jake. Leave us, she commanded. All of you. I need to speak with Jake Morrison alone. The others filed out, even Amy, though she looked worried. When the door closed, leaving just the two of them, Liara finally looked away. You saved my life, she said quietly. You put yourself in danger to protect me. Why? I already told you, Jake said. It was the right thing to do. There's more than that, Liara said. She moved closer to him. I felt it when our minds connected. You care about me. Not as a queen or an alien or a political tool. You care about me as a person? Jake couldn't deny it. Yes, he admitted. I do. I've seen who you really are, Liara, not the mask you wear for your empire. The real you. And that person is worth caring about. Liara reached up and touched his face. Her hand was cool and soft. This is dangerous, Jake Morrison. For both of us. My people would never accept a human as anything more than a curiosity. Your people would see you as a traitor for caring about an alien. I know, Jake said. But I can't help what I feel. Can you? Lyra's eyes showed conflict. Duty and emotion fighting a war inside her. No, she whispered. I cannot. And that terrifies me. I have been alone for so long. I had forgotten what it felt like to connect with someone. To be understood. To be seen. She stepped back, visibly struggling with herself. I should let you and your crew go. Send you back to Earth, forget we ever met. It would be safer for everyone. But you won't. No, Liara agreed. I won't. Because I am selfish. Because you have become important to me in ways that defy all logic. Because when I look at you, I see hope for something I thought was impossible. What's that? Jake asked. Liara met his eyes. A future where I am not alone. Where strength and compassion can coexist. Where an alien and a human can stand together and create something new. Jake took her hand. The connection flowed between them again, gentle and warm. Then let's create it, together. Liara squeezed his hand. And for the first time since Jake had met her, she smiled. A real smile that lit up her entire face and made her look years younger. Together, she agreed. The news spread through the Viridian Empire like fire. Queen Liara had been saved by a human. A primitive alien had helped defeat a coup. The reaction was divided. Some saw it as proof that other species could be valuable. Others saw it as the ultimate humiliation. Jake stood in Lyra's council chamber, surrounded by alien nobles who looked at him with everything from curiosity to disgust. Liara sat on her throne, her face showing the cold mask of a queen again. But Jake could feel her through their connection. She was nervous but determined. This council is called to address the human situation, Liara announced. Commander Kalen, present your case. A tall Viridian with darker blue skin and scars across his face stepped forward. This was Commander Kalen, head of the military forces. Jake had learned that Kalen wanted war with Earth. My queen, Kalen said with a bow that didn't quite hide his contempt. The humans grow stronger every day. Their technology advances rapidly. In 50 years, maybe less, they will threaten our empire. We must strike now while we have the advantage. Destroy their capacity for space travel. Set them back centuries. And kill billions in the process, Jake said before he could stop himself. Kalen turned his cold eyes on Jake. Billions of potential enemies. Better they die now than our people die later. Or, Jake said, meeting Kalen's stare, we could become allies. Humans and Viridians working together. We could share knowledge and technology. Both species would be stronger. Kalen laughed. Allies with primitives? You overestimate your worth, human. He saved my life, Liara said sharply. He and his crew worked alongside my people to defeat Vorton. They proved that cooperation is possible. One human helped you, Kalen replied. That does not change the nature of his species. They are violent, chaotic, and unpredictable. They cannot be trusted. Jake felt anger rise in him, but he forced it down. Getting angry would only prove Kalen's point. Instead, he thought about what Liara had taught him about Viridian culture. They valued strength and proof over words. You say humans can't be trusted, Jake said calmly. But you have no proof of that. You base your opinion on fear and prejudice. Give us a chance to prove ourselves. Let me and my crew do something that will show you what humans are capable of. Like what? Another council member asked. This was Lady Sierra, who Jake had learned was one of Lyra's few supporters, Jake looked at Liara through their connection. He sent her a question. She hesitated, then nodded slightly. There's a Viridian colony, Jake said. On a planet called Tharos 4, I heard your people mention it. The planet is dying. Some kind of environmental collapse. You abandoned the colonists because it was too expensive to save them. Silence fell over the council. Kalen's face darkened. That colony was a loss. We could not justify the resources to evacuate thousands of people from a doomed world. Because you value resources more than lives, Jake said. But humans don't. Give me and my crew access to ships and equipment. Let us try to save those colonists. If we fail, you can execute us and attack Earth, but if we succeed, you have to admit that humans have value. That we deserve a chance at peace. The council erupted in argument. Some thought it was a waste of time. Others were intrigued. Kalen argued loudly against it, but Lady Sierra supported Jake's plan. Finally, Liara raised her hand for silence. I will allow it, she said. Jake Morrison and his crew will attempt to rescue the Tharos the 4th colonists. They will have 3 days. If they succeed, this council will seriously consider an alliance with humanity. If they fail, she paused, and Jake felt her pain through their bond. If they fail, the human prisoners will be executed, and we will proceed with Commander Kalen's war plans. Jake's crew was not happy when he told them the plan. Danny paced back and forth in their quarters, running his hands through his hair. 3 days to save thousands of people from a dying planet? That's impossible, Jake. Even the Viridians couldn't do it. We have to try, Jake said. It's our only chance to prevent a war. Amy put her hand on Jake's shoulder. What's really going on between you and the Queen? We've all seen how you look at each other. The way you work together. It's like you're connected somehow. Jake wanted to deny it, but these people were his crew. His friends. They deserved the truth. We are connected. When she first touched my mind, something happened. We can feel each other's emotions. Share thoughts. I don't understand it, but it's real. You're falling for her, Amy said softly. An alien queen. It's more complicated than that, Jake replied. But yes, I care about her. And she cares about me. And that's why we have to succeed. Not just for Earth, but for the chance to build something new. A bridge between our species. His crew was quiet for a moment. Then Danny laughed. Well, when you put it that way, how can we refuse? Let's go save some aliens. The journey to Tharos 4 took a full day. Liara had given them a fast ship and supplies, but she had also sent a Viridian engineer named Kelrin to watch them. Kelrin was young and curious, constantly asking questions about humans and Earth. When they reached Tharos 4, Jake understood why the Viridians had given up. The planet was beautiful but dying. The atmosphere was breaking down, poisoned by some industrial accident. They had maybe weeks before it became completely uninhabitable. There are 15,000 colonists down there, Kelrin said, looking at his instruments. Spread across 3 cities. My people sent them supplies to last a few months, but then abandoned them to their fate. That's horrible, Amy said. How could they just leave them? Resources are finite, Kelrin replied, but he sounded uncomfortable. The Empire has millions of worlds to protect. Sometimes sacrifices must be made, not on my watch, Jake said. He looked at his crew. They worked for hours, studying the problem from every angle. The colonists were too many to evacuate quickly. Even with multiple ships, it would take weeks to get everyone off the planet. They didn't have that kind of time. It was Amy who had the breakthrough. What if we don't evacuate them? What if we fix the planet? The atmospheric damage is too severe, Kelrin said. It would take industrial equipment we don't have, but what if we could reverse the damage? Amy pulled up her calculations. Look, the poison in the atmosphere comes from a specific compound. If we could introduce something to neutralize it, the planet's own ecosystem might recover. It's theoretically possible, Kelrin admitted. But creating enough neutralizing agent would require massive energy. More than this ship has. Jake felt inspiration strike. The planet has 3 suns. What if we use solar energy? Built collectors to gather power, Then use that to manufacture the neutralizing agent, and Bulkaran's eyes widened. That could work. It's risky and we would need to work fast, but it could work. They landed near one of the colonies. The colonists were surprised to see them. They had been told no help was coming. When Jake explained the plan, many volunteered to help. Human and Viridian worked side by side, building solar collectors and setting up manufacturing facilities. Jake felt Liara through their connection. She was watching somehow, monitoring their progress. He sent her feelings of determination and hope. She sent back worry and pride. 2 days passed in a blur of work. They barely slept. Danny nearly electrocuted himself fixing a power coupling. Amy worked through exhaustion to optimize the manufacturing process. Kelran surprised everyone by proving to be an excellent leader. Organizing the colonists efficiently on the 3rd day, as the deadline approached, they activated the system. Massive quantities of neutralizing agent pumped into the atmosphere. For a terrifying hour, nothing seemed to happen. Then sensors started showing changes. The poison levels dropped. The atmosphere began to stabilize. The colonists cheered. They hugged each other, Viridian and human alike. Some of them cried. Children who had been born on this dying world now had a future. Kelran approached Jake with something like awe on his face. You did it? You actually saved them? We did it. Jake corrected. All of us together, that's the point. When humans and Viridians work together, we can accomplish incredible things. Back on Liara's ship, the council gathered again. This time, the mood was different. Even Kalen looked grudgingly impressed as Kelran gave his report. The humans succeeded, Kelran said. They saved 15,000 colonists that we had written off as a loss. They did it with creativity, determination, and by working alongside our people. I believe their proposal for alliance has merit, the council argued, but the outcome was different this time. More voices spoke in favor of peace. Lady Sierra proposed a treaty. Others supported it. Kalen still opposed, but he was now in the minority. Finally, Liara stood. This council votes to pursue peaceful relations with humanity. Commander Kalen, you will stand down from war preparations. Lady Sierra, you will lead negotiations with Earth. It was a victory, but Jake could feel through their bond that Liara was troubled. After the council dismissed, she summoned him to her private chambers. It was the first time he had been there. The room was surprisingly simple. No grand decorations. Just a comfortable space with windows overlooking the stars. We did it, Jake said. Peace is possible now. Yes, Liara agreed, but Jake, there's something I must tell you. Something I learned while you were gone. She turned to face him, and her silver eyes were filled with pain. Kalen did not give up. He has built a weapon in secret. Something powerful enough to destroy entire worlds. He plans to use it on Earth before the tray. Liara led Jake through hidden passages in her ship. She moved quickly, her robes flowing behind her. Through their connection, Jake felt her fear and determination mixed together. The weapon is called the Starbreaker, Liara explained as they walked. It uses the energy of a sun to create a blast that can destroy a planet. Kalen has it hidden on a military station near your solar system. How do we destroy it? Jake asked. We can't, Liara said. It's too well protected. But we can stop him from using it. If we can reach the control center and lock him out, the weapon becomes useless. But Jake, the station is heavily guarded. This is a suicide mission. Jake stopped walking. He grabbed Lyra's hand, feeling the connection spark between them. Then we need help. Contact my people. Tell Earth what's happening. Together we have a chance. Liara looked uncertain. If I reveal this to Earth, I will be betraying military secrets. Some of my people will see me as a traitor. And if you don't, billions of humans will die, Jake said gently. I know it's not an easy choice. But you're not the queen who rules through fear anymore. You're the leader who saved colonists and gave peace a chance. Trust yourself, Liara. For a moment, Liara looked vulnerable. Young, then she straightened, and Jake saw the strength that had kept her alive all these years. You're right. Contact Earth, tell them everything. The next hours were chaos. Liara broadcast a message to Earth, revealing Kalen's plot and offering an alliance. Earth's leaders were skeptical at first. An alien queen warning them about another alien threat seemed too convenient. But Jake vouched for her, and eventually they agreed to send ships. Admiral Patricia Grant led the human fleet. She was tough and smart, with gray hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. When she saw Jake standing beside Liara, she raised an eyebrow but said nothing. "Queen Liara," Grant said formally, "you claim Commander Kalen has a weapon pointed at Earth? Why should we believe you?" "Because I am risking everything to warn you," Liara replied. "Because Jake Morrison trusts me and you trust him. And because if I wanted Earth destroyed, I could have done it myself instead of proposing a treaty." Grant studied Liara for a long moment. Then she nodded. "Fair enough. What's the plan?" They planned the attack together. Human and Viridian officers working side by side, combining their knowledge and tactics. Grant was impressed by Viridian technology. Lady Sarah, who had joined them, was amazed by human creativity, but the real key was Jake and Liara. Their connection allowed them to coordinate the two fleets perfectly. They could communicate instantly, share information without words, and anticipate each other's needs. "This bond you share," Grant said to Jake privately. "It's real?" "Yes," Jake admitted. "I know how it sounds. But it's the truth. And you trust her?" "Completely?" Jake thought about everything he had seen in Lyra's mind. Her pain, her hopes, her fears. "With my life," he said. "She's not our enemy, Admiral. She's trying to save both our peoples." The attack on Kalen's station was fierce. The commander had expected betrayal and prepared for it. His ships outnumbered the combined human and Viridian fleet. Energy blasts lit up space like fireworks. Ships exploded. People died on both sides. Jake and Liara led a small team to infiltrate the station while the fleets fought outside. Amy flew their shuttle with skill, dodging fire and debris. Danny and Kelrin worked together to hack the station's defenses. They were a perfect team now, human and Viridian, united by common purpose. Inside the station, they fought their way toward the control center. Kalen's soldiers tried to stop them. Jake protected Liara with his human weapons. She protected him with her Viridian powers. Together, they were unstoppable. They reached the control center to find Kalen himself waiting. The old commander stood at the weapon controls, his hand over the activation switch. "One more step and I destroy Earth," Kalen said coldly. "You have betrayed your people, my queen. You have betrayed everything we stand for." "No," Liara said firmly. "I have saved our people. War with humanity would destroy us both. This path you're on leads only to death." "Better death than weakness," Kalen replied. "Better death than bowing to primitive aliens?" He moved to activate the weapon. Jake raised his gun, but he knew he couldn't shoot fast enough. Through their connection, he felt Lyra's despair. They had come so far, only to fail at the last moment. Then something unexpected happened. Danny threw himself at Kalen, tackling the commander away from the controls. They struggled. Kalen was stronger, but Danny held on with desperate courage. "Now," Danny shouted. "Shut it down." Jake and Liara ran to the controls together. Their hands moved in perfect synchronization, working as one. Through their bond, they shared knowledge and understanding. Jake understood Viridian technology as if he had studied it his whole life. Liara grasped human intuition and adaptability, the Starbreaker powered down. The threat was over. Kalen roared in rage and threw Danny aside. He drew a weapon, aiming it at Liara. "If I cannot destroy Earth, I will at least kill the traitor queen." The weapon fired. Jake moved without thinking, putting himself between the blast and Liara. Pain exploded through his chest. He fell, darkness closing in around him. Through the fading connection, he felt Lyra's scream. Felt her hands on him. Felt her power flowing into him, trying to heal him. But the damage was too severe. Human bodies were fragile compared to Viridian ones. "No," Liara whispered. Tears ran down her face, the first time Jake had ever seen her cry. "No, you can't leave me." "Not now? Not after everything?" Jake tried to speak, but blood filled his mouth. Through their connection, he sent her one last message. A feeling of love and peace. A memory of her smile. A hope that she would continue to build the future they had dreamed of. Liara held him tighter. "I won't let you go," she said fiercely. "I won't lose you." She placed her hands on his chest, right over the wound. Her whole body began to glow with power. Jake felt something incredible happening. Liara was sharing more than just energy. She was sharing her life force itself, binding it to his. "This is forbidden," she whispered, "an ancient ritual my people stopped using centuries ago. It will tie us together permanently. If you die, I die. If I die, you die. We will be one forever. But it's the only way to save you." Jake wanted to tell her not to, wanted to free her from that burden. But darkness was taking him, and he had no strength to resist. He felt Lyra's life force merge with his own, felt their hearts begin to beat in perfect rhythm, felt their souls entwine in ways that transcended species and biology. The pain faded. The wound began to heal. Jake gasped, drawing in air that tasted sweet and clean. When he opened his eyes, Liara was still holding him, still glowing softly. But she looked exhausted. "What did you do?" Jake whispered. "I saved you," Liara said. "And bound us together, forever. I'm sorry I didn't ask permission. But I couldn't let you go." Jake reached up and touched her face. "I wouldn't have wanted you to." Thank you. Around them, the battle was ending. Kalen had been captured. The human and Viridian fleets had won. News of the victory spread quickly. The treaty was signed within days. Earth and the Viridian Empire became allies. The first step toward a galactic community. Jake was offered a position as Earth's first ambassador to the Viridian Empire. He accepted immediately. His place was beside Liara now, in more ways than one. They could never be truly apart. If they traveled too far from each other, both would weaken and eventually die. It was a price they both accepted willingly. Months passed. The alliance grew stronger. Trade began. Cultural exchanges. Human students studying on Viridian worlds. Viridian artists sharing their work with Earth. The galaxy was changing, becoming something new and hopeful. One evening, Jake stood with Liara in her private chambers. They often came here now, away from the politics and ceremonies. Here, they could just be themselves. A woman and a man who had found each other across impossible distances. Laia stood at the window, looking at stars that now represented not just her empire, but a wider community. Jake came up behind her, wrapping his arms around her waist. She leaned back against him, and through their bond, they shared a moment of perfect peace. "I never thought I would find this," Liara said softly. "Happiness, love, hope for the future. I thought I would die alone on a throne, surrounded by people who feared me but never knew me. But you didn't," Jake said. "You found courage to change, to take a risk on a human who crashed into your life." Liara turned in his arms to face him. Her silver eyes shone with emotion. "You saved me, Jake Morrison. Not just from Kalen's weapon. You saved me from myself. From the cold, dead future I was building. We saved each other," Jake replied. "That's what partners do." Liara smiled. That real, genuine smile that Jake treasured. Then she did something she had never done in front of anyone else. She let her guard down completely. The weight of the crown fell away. The mask of the queen disappeared. In his arms was just Liara, a person who loved and was loved in return. She pressed her forehead against his, their breath mingling. Through their bond, emotions and thoughts flowed freely. Love, trust, joy, wonder, and underneath it all, a sense of belonging that neither had felt in years. "I belong to you," Earthling, Liara whispered. Not as a queen making a declaration, but as a woman sharing a truth that lived in her heart in ways that transcend duty or politics or even our bond. "You have my heart, Jake Morrison, all of it." Foe.